Good day and welcome back. So in this video I'm going to present as a sort of final view all of the 4 dioramas that I did for Soviet armor through the seasons. It was an idea that sort of developed as I was working on the SU-152 because I was doing that and then I wanted to put it on a base that sort of set the tone, and I thought it would be really neat to sort of practice doing scenic bases. So building not just model kits, but building a model kit and a base that sort of told a story. And what I decided to do is lay it out, pick 4 different seasons of the year, pick 4 different Soviet armor, and let sort of just build 4 scenes that told a story. Whether it's and just let the scene do it. So it was a nice thing to try. It's really the first time I've tried to build dioramas with the I like to build model because I've been building model kits for years, and when I got back into the hobby, I was just building kits, and I've found it to be a great deal of fun to leverage my gaming aspect and my gaming skills of building scenery to play on with actually stepping it up a notch and trying to go for realism for the scenes. And this series set parameters that I could try to do that with, and it was really a fun learning experience. So I'll go ahead and cut to sort of a view of those. If anybody has any suggestions, queries, statements, whatever, please feel free. Put them, go ahead down below. Just please keep them respectful. So here we are, Soviet armor through the seasons. Okay, and with the finish of the summer T-34, this series is done. So this series kind of started out as a whim, something of a let's learn kind of thing, where I was trying to learn a bunch of different things, and I was really enjoying building armor. So it gave me the excuse to do armor and learn how to do both the figures and the scenery. So I hadn't really done dioramas or scenic bases before, so we went for that. So again, the spring, winter, fall, summer. The SU-152, the KV-2, the M3 Lee, and the T-34-75. Each of them were set up as different, learning to do different kinds of weathering for each of the vehicles, as well as learning how to do the actual bases, right? So I'll start off with the first one that I did. I'll slide these guys to the back. This is going to be a little awkward because, room. So this was the first one that I did, and that was the SU-152. I loved the vehicle. Vehicle is just a beast, right? So it was a lot of fun to do. And doing the scenic base was pretty simplistic. It was before I really tried to focus on anything, and it really is, still a bunch of frost on the ground. Grass is coming up. It's muddy, but not, caked muddy. I thought about trying to go, just bogs and bogs of mud, but I figured that was going to detract from the vehicle, which was really the point, right? So then after I did spring, I went back in time and so I started going backwards, and then I did winter. So the winter one was all about learning how to play with snow. Doing the KV-2 was the vehicle itself was a ton of fun. It was a lot of fun to build. I really liked the vehicle itself. I liked the kit itself. It went together well. It was a challenging but not super challenging build. And then this was the first time I used infantry, right? So I went ahead and I went to go ahead and do some people at the same time. And I'm learning, right? So it was a great learning experience to learn how to do those. The weathering, I wanted to get the weathering on the KV-2 to be not not overdone. So I wanted the whitewash that was on it, but I wanted the whitewash to be worn away in many ways. I wanted the snow to not be just piles and piles of snow. I wanted to show like it was snow that had fallen onto ground, but it wasn't overlaying and heavy. So I think I got where I was going. Again, working with snow was very different. It was a little bit challenging, but I got to learn a lot with that one, right? So after I finished the winter one doing KV2, the next armor vehicle that I did was then this one, the Grant. Now the Grant was doing the scenic base was almost an afterthought. I got so involved into doing the Grant that doing the scenic base was almost an oops. Well, I won't say it was almost an oops. It was just a oops. I forgot that I needed to do that. So when I put it together, I didn't take into account the size of the vehicle for the base. So these hills here, I put the hills in here for interest, just like I did over on winter. I wanted the ground to look like ground. Ground isn't flat. That was something I feel like I did poorly with the spring one for the KV2, like the SE 152. It was just sort of flat ground, so a little uninteresting. But here, the ground was interesting, but the ground was so interesting that I almost couldn't fit the vehicle on it. So that took some creativity. Doing the leaves and doing a lot of the follow-up that I needed to do for that was, again, a very, very big learning experience for me. And again, doing the figures, they were challenging. And again, so I struggle with figures, right? So I've done tons and tons and tons of gaming miniatures, but painting gaming miniatures, you're going for a certain look, and I don't want to say it's cartoony, but the painting gives life to the miniature. And when you're doing these, if you do that, they don't look real. It takes away from a lot of the realism, and I feel like it still had that issue, like with the faces. And this is one that I'm really struggling with, is the faces. But the clothes have a much more realistic feel, especially using pigments to highlight and shadow. I feel like that helped a lot. But so this was fall. Again, fall was fun. The vehicle was a lot of fun, and the figure, it's the whole thing. It's one of, I'm not going to say it's my favorite, because it really isn't. They all have aspects of them that I really, really like. And then finally, summer. And this was really trying to add some interest in the scenery, because I felt like the subject really wasn't. I felt the subject was weak. It's okay. I was going for a subject that was plain, straightforward. I wasn't looking for one that was all chipped up, beat up, overdone. Something I could have done. I could have really ripped into a whole lot of research on sending that model over the top. But that was a lot of research I really didn't want to do. It really wasn't that interesting to me, right? The vehicle itself isn't that interesting to me. And I don't know, the kit itself sort of was, I don't want to say it was boring, but it was uninteresting and uninspiring. And that was probably me more than the kit. So what I felt like I wanted to do is I wanted to compensate for that with the base. So I really added a lot of more lively vegetation. Again, working with it being summer, I had the advantage, right? So I was able to I used a lot more of the longer grass. I was able to use a lot more of the dusty pigment colors, and play around with like the road here. So there's this road going this way. Playing around with how that all worked with the with the ground. You can see where we've shaded it for where the tank had drawn, how the tank had driven over the grass and into where it is now. And then the figures, right? So the figures themselves were, again, I got to step up some of them a little bit. So like that one there doing the strap for the rifle. This guy over here working on his, his binoculars and getting a decent look out of his uniform and so forth. Again, I can see a lot of things to do better, but this was using the atmosphere of the base to sort of bring what I kind of was feeling was a sort of a mediocre model more to life. So with that said, that is the series of all 4 of the quote unquote, what I was calling my Soviet armor through the seasons. It's hard to kind of reach around and move these things around my camera here. So let's bring this guy in. There we go. And there we go. That was a fun series, a fun set of things. It was like a 1.5 years plus to get them all done. But that's it. Soviet armor through the seasons, spring, winter, fall, and summer. Thank you very much for watching. Please feel free to offer up suggestions, comments, critiques, whatever. Put them down below here. Just, again, as always, make them respectful. But I've got some other series of builds on the mind. But I found that, having something like this to do sort of kept the mojo, kept the motivation to go and do this and that and try new things, which is kind of the whole point for me, right? It's all about learning. So again, until next time, thanks for watching and happy modeling. Thank you.